This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Hello and welcome to Pulse of Africa News. I am Samia Mohammed with the latest news. Today marks the second and final day of the United Nations Food Systems Summit, Stocktake, in Addis Ababa, and once again we are providing special coverage of this global summit. First, our top stories for today. African leaders advocate for action and inclusive growth at UN Food Systems Summit in Addis Ababa. The 2025 edition of the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World report launched in Addis Ababa. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni visited various development sites in Jimma. Before we move on to the main news, let's take a look at the footage of the first day of the second United Nations Food Systems Summit Stocktake, which is underway in Addis Ababa. Now, the news in detail. African leaders at the second Food Systems Summit held at the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa headquarters in Addis Ababa called for a decisive shift from dialogue to concrete action to achieve sustainable and resilient food systems. In their speech at the summit, both Ugandan Vice President Jessica Alupo and Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima emphasized the critical roles of international cooperation and inclusive economic growth in transforming global food security. Ugandan Vice President Jessica Alupo urged the conference to lead to strengthen international cooperation, increased financing, and the widespread adoption of local solutions, reiterating Uganda's commitment to collaborating with global partners to ensure access to safe and nutritious food for all. Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima, on his part, stressed that inclusive economic growth is vital for ensuring sustainable food system, linking it directly to border development goals. The Vice President also urged African financial institutions to play a stronger role in supporting food security agreements and ensuring they deliver tangible results. The 2025 edition of the State of Food Security and Nutrition in the World report launched on Monday in Addis Ababa on the sidelines of the UN Food Systems Summit +4 Stocktake. The SOFI report is a joint initiative of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, the United Nations Children Fund, the World Food Programme, and the World Health Organization. It offers new estimates on the cost and affordability of healthy diets and assesses the progress or setbacks towards Sustainable Development Goal targets 2.1 and 2.2, ending hunger, food insecurity, and all forms of malnutrition by 2030. The report analyzes the drivers of recent food inflation and outlines key policy responses to mitigate its negative effects. President of Ethiopia, Taye Askeselassie, who addressed the launch event, said the report helps to inform policies to bring forth quick gains and also long-term solutions. UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed underscores the urgency of coordinated global action. This means skipping meals, selling assets, or putting children out of school just so families can afford to eat in every region. These overlapping crises, conflict, climate, shocks, inflation, displacement are all exposing the deep fragility of our food systems. Therefore, the UN Deputy Chief underlined cooperation must replace conflict and we must transform systems that feed the world urgently, systematically, and inclusively. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his Italian counterpart Giorgia Meloni visited various development sites in Jimma on Monday. During their visit to the city of Jimma, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni toured various development sites, including the renovated Abba Jifar Palace, the restored Boye and its newly built surrounding infrastructure, as well as other ongoing development projects throughout the city. Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni attended the summit because Italy is co-hosting the second United Nations Food System Summit in Addis Ababa. Ethiopia's Deputy Prime Minister Temesgen Turuna conferred with Deputy Prime Minister of the Republic of Cuba, Jorge Luis Tapia Fonseca, on Monday. The two leaders held a bilateral meeting on the sidelines of the second United Nations Summit on Food Systems underway in Addis Ababa. Deputy Prime Minister Temesgen said in a social media post that Ethiopia and Cuba share a long-standing diplomatic relationship that spans over 50 years. During the discussion, we explored avenues to further strengthen this partnership across multiple sectors of cooperation, Temesgen stated. Cuban Deputy Prime Minister commended Ethiopia's ongoing development efforts, particularly the strides made in advancing food security in recent years. He also expressed his admiration for the visible transformation taking place in Addis Ababa. We reaffirmed our mutual commitment to bolstering bilateral collaboration, especially in key political and economic areas that promise shared benefits for both nations, Deputy Prime Minister Temesgen noted. In other news, Russian President Vladimir Putin held a telephone conversation with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, the Kremlin said in a statement. The Russian president emphasized, among other things, the importance of upholding the unity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of the Syrian Arab Republic, as well as strengthening its internal political stability through respect for the legitimate rights and interests of all ethnic and religious groups in the population, the statement noted. According to the Kremlin press service, Putin also underscored Moscow's willingness to engage in efforts to seek a negotiated resolution to the Iranian nuclear issue. Against the backdrop of the recent escalation in Iranian-Israeli tensions, Russia has expressed its readiness to provide all possible assistance in facilitating a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue, the statement said. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres welcomes the ceasefire agreement between Cambodia and Thailand as a positive step toward ending current hostilities and easing tensions, a UN spokesperson said on Monday. Guterres urges both countries to respect the agreement fully and to create an environment conducive to addressing long-standing issues and achieving lasting peace, Farhan Haq, the UN Chief's deputy spokesperson, said in the statement. The Secretary General commends Malaysia, the current ASEAN chair, as well as the United States and China for their dedicated efforts toward the peaceful resolution of the situation, the statement said. The United Nations stands ready to support efforts aimed at promoting peace and stability in the region, it added.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel, all the time. Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Now to business news. Electronic payments in Nigeria grew by 24.4% year-on-year in the first quarter of 2025. New statistics from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System have shown. This underscores the country's growing resilience on digital payments, with chaseless payments growing significantly. Electronic payment channels were used 2.21 billion times in the first quarter, while point-of-sale terminals recorded 776.94 million usages. Finally, Caribbean nations are looking to decisively broaden opportunities for trade with Africa, the Secretary General of its regional bloc said on Monday. We must decisively open the door to greater trade between our regions, Caribbean Community Secretary General Carla Barnett said at the opening of the Afri-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forum in Grenada. CARICOM trade with the continent must grow beyond the current levels of less than 3% of our overall trade, particularly with the uncertainty that currently looms over trade with traditional partners. Before concluding, let us provide you with the latest updates on global commodities prices. Now to weather updates. That's all for today. Thanks for watching Pulse of Africa.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.